Welcome back to my channel. This time for a review of an old analog camera, the Nikon FM2 camera, which is a camera that I have taken for travels but also use here at home. It has some nice features that are a little more than the usual old analog camera. I shoot this camera with a 50mm f1.8 lens from the E series, which is supposed to be sort of budget friendly, but the good thing about exactly this lens is that it's a pancake lens, so it's very small on this camera, and I love that very much. But let's get on with the review. One of the things that makes the Nikon FM2 stand out from most cameras is that the fact that it has up to a 1/4000th of a second exposure time, and it's a completely manual exposure. That means the shutter, sorry, is completely manual, so it doesn't depend on a battery in this camera. So even if you don't have battery and can't measure the light, you can still expose up to 1/4000th of a second and from 1 second. And it also has a bulb mode, of course. So that's a very nice thing, and it's unusual between old analog cameras, especially with the manual shutter, so you can actually use it without battery. Another feature that is very nice on this camera is that it has a depth of field preview button. So if I stop down the lens, you might be able to see inside here that it's actually stopping down. That way you can sort of preview how much depth of field you will have in your images before you actually take the shot. That's also not very common among older analog cameras, but of course the higher end cameras, which this is, sort of semi-professional camera, they have the depth of field preview button, but it's on this camera. It's very nice. I love it. Another thing that's very nice is on the ISO button up here. You can set ISO all the way from 12, ISO 12. That's I haven't, well, yes, I actually have had old films that had ISO 12, but I don't think anyone produces film with ISO 12 anymore. But I still have some old expired film that are ISO 12, and it goes all the way up to 6400. The highest ISO film I have shot is 3200. I might have used it at X6400, I don't remember quite, but 3200 I have used at least, but it goes all the way to 6400, so if you want to shoot film at 6400, you can do, and that's not very usual on cameras from these old days. So another nice feature of this camera. Being an SLR camera, of course, you can change the lens, as I've already shown you, and this very compact lens is also very sharp actually, so I like this lens a lot. But when I go traveling, I also carry this lens, and look at the size of it. Well, you might say that's just a normal lens. No, it's 100mm. It's a telephoto lens for portraits and also for nature stuff with an f-stop of 2.8. This is a very nice lens, and it's very compact, and it doesn't weigh very much. It's also from the E series, which is supposed to be sort of economic lenses, but it's sharp. And I've even shot it on my Hasselblad X2D, and well, it fills the image circle of that camera quite nicely, and also it's pretty sharp even on 100MP cameras. So it's good lens, and amazing. You can get it for almost nothing. And on this camera, it's a very compact combo to have these two lenses and with this camera. Very nice indeed. Also, due to the fact that this camera is an SLR, you can get cheap accessories like these extension rings. I have a set of 3 here that I can use on the camera. I'll show you with the smallest one, but it can give you images up to more than 1:1. So you can shoot really nice macro photography. So you just put the lens on here, and actually this one has electronics in it, so I can also use it on my newer cameras. I have a digital Nikon camera, but then you have this extension ring here, and you can go very much nearer to your subject than with just the lens. And if I put all 3 on the lens, it'll give you very high magnification. Very nice thing. And this set of extension rings cost me less than €10. A small thing on this camera is that before you can open the back and put in film, you have to use this little knob here and pull up the rewind lever, so you don't accidentally get to open the back of the camera with a film inside. You have to use these 2 things at the same time to open the back. I won't do it because as you might see from the shutter count, the counter here, there's a film inside the camera. It's on a 22 right now. But a nice little feature to prevent you from unintentionally exposing your film inside the camera. You can also make double exposures on that camera. Note that the counter is on S, and the start of the film there's no film in it actually. But if I pull this back and advance the lever, it doesn't advance at all. It's still on S, and I can do it several times if I want to. It's still on S. As soon as I don't press this lever, the shutter counter advances, so you can see you're actually using film. Another feature on this camera is that you can't expose anything unintentionally, because before you pull out the lever from to here, you can't press the shutter button. So even though you might have wound the film and is ready to take exposure, when the lever is here, you can't press the shutter button. So it's blocked from taking unintentional photos. It's very well thought out, this camera, and I love it very much. Also, the viewfinder in this camera gives you very nice information, at least if you have a battery inside. On the left you have the exposure time that you have set the camera to, and on top you have display of the aperture that you set the lens to, and on the right you get information whether you have overexposed or underexposed. A plus for the overexposure, minus for the underexposure, and a circle in the middle if you're just right. So to sum it up, what do I like about this camera? Well, yes, it's a compact camera. It doesn't take up much space in your bag. And that it has a 1/4000th of a shutter, that's very unusual and very good thing for this camera. And also that the shutter is manual, so you don't depend on the battery. Of course, you can't measure the light and do the exposure meter without the battery, but you can still fire the shutter and use the Sunny 16 rule, if you know that. Otherwise, look it up and find out what it is. Then the viewfinder is quite nice, as we've seen, with a lot of information, so you can expose correctly. And I like it has a depth of field button, so you can preview your depth of field in your images before shooting. And then of course it's a Nikon camera with the F mount, so you have a lot of lens options available for this camera. There's not much negative to say about this camera. It is a bit heavy compared to some of my own other analog cameras, but it's also a camera that really is sturdy, so it's not that bad. It has no diopter correction. Some cameras do have built-in diopter correction. Here you have to have a small lens if you want to correct the diopter, but that's really nothing. So I like this camera quite a lot. So I hope you liked the review, and if you did, please hit the like button and also subscribe to my channel so you can get more videos like this, but also maybe lens reviews from my side. By the way, should I mention that I have made a review of the 100mm this lens that I showed you. I have made a review of this lens you can find on my channel here. So thank you very much for this time, and bye for now.